Oh, this is Kim. Sorry, I forgot I hit start. Can anybody hear me? Hi, Linda. I think you might be the only one on right now. We'll have more people join us in a little bit. I almost thought I wasn't going to make it because I was over talking to my father-in-law at the house, and then I was getting ready to go, and all of a sudden he got a phone call, and my mother-in-law's sister actually just died like 10 minutes before that, and so it's been a little crazy. And she's normally the person that takes care of Cassandra while I'm on this. So Cassandra's over on the couch. I can see her though. At the office. I do. I have a couch at my office. Yeah, I don't want to say it wasn't entirely unexpected, but I mean, I've been in that position before, with my grandma a little over a year ago. And yeah, I never met her, unfortunately, because we've never made it over there. Everybody's been kind of in the Northeast, and they all live in the Northeast, and we've never made it that way since Larry and I have been together. Mostly because whenever we're invited, it's winter, and I refuse to go anywhere when it's 10 feet of snow or whatever. Refuse. He knows why. Because I die. So can you see my screen? Okay, good. So I'm hoping that, oh, it looks like somebody else did hop on, but hopefully as other people join us, they'll catch right up. I'm going to do a little recap and then we'll go into all of it. So of course, this is the lead generation source webinar for Wednesdays. And I do it at a different time because we do need 2 of these to go over the concepts to apply to T-Rex Treks. So this week we're going to go ahead and expand on the topic a little bit more and focus on pictures. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear. As of 10 minutes ago, the ambulance was still over there, but we haven't. It was officially. She was really sick and refused to go to the doctor, and I was trying to explain this to my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. I said, look, they're in their I think they're in their mid-70s. Like, I think my mother-in-law is like 73 now or something. So 72, 73. And Barb, which was my aunt, she's 75. And I said, look, you guys aren't used to this, but most people who are older like that, like them, I said, most people who are your age and older are ornery. They're super ornery and they refuse to do stuff. I'm like, my grandpa's a perfect example where my dad has to live with him because my grandpa would just curl up and die. And he would just not do anything and he would just die. And I said, my dad had to go down there and basically force him to stop being so stubborn. And I said, and my mother-in-law, my father-in-law are so active and so involved. And I said, you guys just aren't used to it because you haven't hit that ornery spot. I go, so just remember this, when you're ornery, we're going to force you to do stuff. Yeah, they're very active. They're great. And part of that is because their youngest granddaughter is my daughter and she's only 5 and keeps them on her toes. Told them, I said, well, maybe one day you can have another one, but we'll see. So anyway, back to this. Okay, so pictures. Okay, so we're going to talk, let's just recap a little bit. So search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is one of the generating free traffic. So it's one method of generating free traffic. Of course, the other one is email, but it's not really email because email, you can't really generate the free traffic until you've collected their email. So really, if you look at it, search engine optimization is truly is the one method for free traffic. Now, I say that we'll learn other ways that are not as bulk. So search engine optimization is kind of like a bulk way of doing it. So of course there's on-site and off-site optimization that we've talked about. And while on-site optimization, a lot of what you do on-site, you also do some methods off-site so they complement each other. So 2 weeks ago, we identified how to figure out your keywords. And of course, keywords, if we remember, this could be either a word or short phrase, either one. We want to focus on one. Last week, we applied the keywords to a page. And then this week, we're going to go ahead and add some images to our page, and then we'll use Pinterest. So hold on, baby. Very good. I'm on a webinar, sweetheart. This is exactly why I need Judy. Oh, that's okay. She's excited about an event on her game. That's my daughter. I apologize. Okay, so this week we're going to add images to our page, and then we're going to use Pinterest. So images on site are part of on-site optimization, and Pinterest is actually part of off-site optimization. So while we're going to go ahead and do both, I want you to understand that we're not doing just one, but when we implement Pinterest, which is really easy to do, then as you're doing it, then we'll go ahead and include that off-site optimization. Hey, Cassandra, baby. They say hi. She says hi back. Okay, so changes are happening. We've talked about this, and I'm not going to go into depth about this on right now. We'll talk about it at the end if you want to. But Facebook has made several changes lately that will undoubtedly increase the cost of ads and decrease the effectiveness of Facebook as a traffic source. Basically, they said that small businesses are going to have to pay more to be seen, and they're going to have to get more creative with their ads, which, as we all know, it's not easy to do when you're first getting started out or when you're a small business. You know, I'm a small local business, and they basically just said, don't bother with Facebook because it's impossible. So YouTube, ironically, this is weird. I didn't even know I was set for monetization, but I got an email yesterday, and YouTube had a change to their partner program, which the partner program is where you can show ads on your videos and make money off of that. So it's the monetization basically. And they said you need to meet new requirements, and their new requirements are the threshold of 4,000 hours of watch time on your channel. So this is I have multiple channels. Not that I have 4,000 hours on any of them or across all of them, but if 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months and 1,000 subscribers. Okay, I mean, I mostly have been using this for my local business, so 1,000 subscribers is pretty much impossible. I mean, it's not, but it's not exactly something that we strive for because I don't put enough videos out for that. I mostly use YouTube just for backlinks. So I thought that was interesting, and I was like, well, what does this mean from YouTube? And I said, wait, they've been offering people to pay to not have ads anymore, which reduces the real estate for ads. And now they're saying any channel that has less than 1,000 subscribers or less than 4,000 hours of watch time within 12 months can no longer monetize their site, which then takes away some of the real estate. Which, you know, it's good. That's good for advertisers to a degree, because if you're advertising, you don't want to, I mean, I don't know, you don't get charged unless somebody clicks on it. So they actually still have to see it. So I'm not sure what the point of it was, but anyway, it basically means less real estate, more expensive ads. Now that's okay if you're like, oh man, I was going to rely on YouTube for traffic. Next week, oh, I've got some super duper secrets that you guys are going to love. That's my sister's word, super duper, by the way. She loves that word. So this basically means you need to think about different channels and, you know, search engine optimization. And I think this is funny because I'd like to point this out, that I started, remember at the beginning of the year, I started this, and these changes occurred after I said, hey, you know what, we need to look at different channels because stuff's going on. So I was telling my father-in-law, I said, wow, maybe I am psychic, because I didn't know what was happening, but I could tell something was happening. Yeah, I'm a smart one. Yeah, I'm like, wait a second, I'm a whiny one. That's what it is. I don't like having to pay for these ads. This is stupid. No, it's not. I'm okay with paid ads as long as they make me money. Okay, so using images. The basics are, well, we'll talk about actually more basics in just a second. If you can, you know, take or make your own images, you can obviously use those. If someone provides an image for you, and what I mean by that is like a manufacturer, like let's say a manufacturer, or like alarm.com is going to be one I'm going to use. So in the security industry, we are contracted with alarm.com to sell so they're a service company, and they don't directly install. So we install and we sell their systems and everything, but they provide the service and of the actual monitoring. Well, and that's kind of loosely, they're the technology behind it. So anyway, what they do is they provide the pictures for us. And it was funny because when I started doing this a few years ago, and I remember, I knew about the images, but it's kind of like one of those things you overlook. And so I said, okay, here, I'm going to go ahead and change the metadata in here for and add in my local keywords. And I pulled it up, and it was a picture of an alarm system, but the keyword metadata was all about Lamborghini and get your free, I mean, it's all spam stuff. And I was like, what the heck? Does alarm.com know that they're putting spam into their pictures? And so we were able to go in, and I'll show exactly what I mean by this, but I thought that was funny. So you need to be careful if you get an image, like even if you right click and take it off of you know, a site or something like that, you need to be very careful because there could be metadata in there that harms your site. So that would be something I would say use caution on. I haven't looked at the T-Rex ones, by the way, but yeah, exactly, with their whole shirt thing. I'm sure all of their metadata is wrong too, by the way, but we may not be able to fix all of that. I still have to play with that for Monday. So the other thing you can do is you can create your own image with free sources such as Canva. And of course, if you have Adobe, you can use the paid. Adobe is great for doing that too. Any of the products, Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. Photoshop's kind of a catch-all for a lot of stuff, but I really love Illustrator when I'm creating things. It's just easier for me to use. It's more like CorelDRAW. So, okay, so method number 1, use royalty-free sources. So this is kind of like if a manufacturer was to give you one. Oh, I'll show you, Linda. Don't worry, we'll go through it all. So you've got Pixabay, Unsplash, freevintagevectors.co. Those 3 are free. They're completely free. So like you can go to pixabay.com and you can download a picture for free and you can use it. Undoubtedly, there will be metadata in there, by the way. And we'll tweak those in just a minute. So these 3 that there's probably more than this, but all these 3 sources here, I have confirmed through their licensing requirements as of the time I checked, I don't know, a month ago or something, that they do allow it for commercial use. Commercial use, you can use it for whatever you want. You can sell, you can't, I don't know that you can sell the images exactly, like alone, but that's not our purpose. So you can put them on shirts, you can put them on mugs and stuff. In fact, the Trek site actually, on Pixabay, I've seen some of our images on there. I'm like, oh, yep, there's that one. Oh, yep, there's that one. So they get some of those and put them on there, which is funny because they do sell those packs sometimes. And I was like, huh, that's kind of funny. We should do that. And then Unsplash is really, 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 really high quality ones. These would be good like for the canvas art or something. They have really high quality. So, and this one's just really hard to search with, but I like Pixabay. It's pretty easy to use. Unfortunately, they also are tied to one of the paid ones. So you could easily click on one and then go, wait, why is this costing me money? Oh, that's because it's a sponsored one. So that's how they make their money. Freevintagevectors.co. I haven't used them, but they have a bunch of cool ones on there. And again, they have the commercial use is okay on those and you don't have to pay. So another one is graphicsfactory.com, and you do pay, I think it's like $50 for the year. But what's interesting is that normally you're going to pay more than that a year. Like if you go with Adobe Images or Graphic Stock or one of those, you're going to pay a lot more, and they don't let you put them on t-shirts or anything else without getting a special license. So the fact that Graphics Factory says, oh, hey, every time I'm on a webinar, this thing rings. Why? It's like they know I'm in here. And there's no option to turn the ringer off. Like we've tried. So unplug the stupid thing. It's an unlisted number. Seriously. Okay, anyway. So they don't have like some of the highest, like if you go to Graphic Stock, those are super high quality and made for commercial purposes, but you have to pay an arm and a leg for them. So Graphics Factory is not the greatest quality, but that's not entirely bad. You've been calling me Linda. You're like, I just felt like it. You don't know the number. I don't even know the number. It's seriously, it's a catch phone number for something else, and the line is, oh, I keep dropping stuff. I have a huge mess. I don't get to do anything. Anyway, so the line's investigative research. Yeah, it's just I don't know how they got that number. It must have went into some directory somewhere and somebody's trying to spam me. It does have a voicemail eventually, but I just hung up on whoever was calling because they leave 2-second voicemails. They're spam. So another way you can do this, and I'll show it to you. So the last option is to do a Google search. Since there are free resources, I really don't recommend this. But let's say you want to get, let's do a telephone. Let's look for a cool telephone. Right, you can go to images here in Google. You guys can see this, right? You can see the Google page. Okay. So, and you can't just take any picture. You need to go to tools. You click on tools. And I actually have 2 phones right next to each other, Sandra. One's for one company, one's for the other. Both of them are completely unlisted. I have alternate numbers for them and haven't switched it over, and yet somehow they keep calling. So you can go to usage rights, and you can go, I do need to get rid of that phone and get one with a ringer that turns off though. I just went for the cheapest one. Good. Yes, thank you, Joanne, because I have some bad news for you on the schema stuff. Oh, I think I already told you guys on Monday. However, I do have good news in that is that Webfire is working on it. So I'm going to give them access to my site and let them play around because they said they might just need to tweak the code. That would be so awesome. See, I told you, we know people. We just don't know we know people until we start emailing everybody. So you can go here. And so non-commercial reuse means we can't use that for commercial purposes. And I would just avoid those at all. And so you have labeled for reuse or labeled for reuse with modification. You can use either one of those. If you don't want to have to modify them, then I would just go for labeled for reuse. And this is funny. I would kind of avoid anything that's got a price on it because even though there's no way we could ever get in trouble for using these images because those are standard phones, I would just avoid it. I would just go down and look at these. Like, these are kind of cool. And even then, like Wikipedia, I'm not sure that I would use that one. So you just kind of have to look and see what they are and where they're on. See, this one's on Pixabay. So I just go to Pixabay. But if you wanted to look for something you couldn't find it on there, go on here. Miss the schema info. So Trex told me that basically that I put the schema code, I figured out where to put the schema code on our page, but for some reason, even though Google could see it, which is nice, but Google doesn't use that for ranking. So I'm like, well, that really, then our whole purpose of schema is for Facebook. The Facebook pixel can't read it, and I don't know why. So I reached out to Webfire and they said, hey, we think that it may just need an extra little code in there. So if you'll give us access to your site, even if it's temporary access, we'll just, hop in there and see what we can do. So I'm going to give them access to my site and see. I mean, they've done tons of stuff for me in the past. So I'm like, yeah, they're not going to mess it up. But yeah, I'll give it and see what they can say. Because if they can figure it out, that would be awesome. But you got to keep in mind that Chris, the tech guy that's there, he's probably super awesome. But if they're not focused on WordPress, then that's not, if they're focused on moving on something else, they're going to tell him that's not a priority. Just don't deal with CAMs, move on. I don't know that they don't know how to do it. I just think that they're not going to do it. So as of right now, I think they're a little overwhelmed with the list that they have, and that's not on their priority. In fact, his response was, if you want to fine tune your audience on Facebook, just run lookalikes. And I'm like, oh my God, do you know how much money that's going to cost to do it the old school way? I already know because I've already tried. I'm like, there's obviously something that happened that with the algorithm change. And since that's when it really shifted, this is the only other way to test. And you can't test it if you can't put the data on there to see if you can fine tune it. So I'm like, well, we'll see. I think Webfire will be able to figure something out. And then, I'll help you guys with that, even if I have to run it and then give you the code to put on there. It's really easy to put it on right now. So they may even change the plugin and that would be even easier. So anyway, so this is how you can get another image if you really want to. But like I said, you want to be careful with these because some people will they'll steal it from another site. Like they'll take it off of graphic stock. So normally you pay $100 to get it and they'll put it on here as theirs. And then they may get in trouble later, but you won't know until you get in trouble. So then like this one is somebody taking a picture of a phone. That's not, unless that's from that company, there's no real way that Wikipedia can say, oh yeah, you can use this for reuse. Now, while I say that, my brother and I were just having this discussion because he was like, well, I guess that when there was a court case where this guy had put out, it was actually a pattern he put out for 3D printing, and somebody had picked it up and it said, well, I said it wasn't labeled, it was only labeled for personal use. And the guy was selling on eBay. And they went to court and the guy that was selling it argued that because eBay shut him down because of this complaint, that he lost like, I don't know, $4 million or whatever in sales over the next 10 years because he lost his momentum and everything. And there's no way you can restrict it. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. And the court ruled in his favor. So it's never made it past like a local court or, a state court or something. So it's never made it into a Supreme Court for us to really know how that would turn out. But I don't think that any of us want to face those legal fees. So just some information out there. I just stick with the free sources personally. But anyway, that's how you can look for other ones if you want to. And then you can try to backtrack it, or even if you want to like take one of those and then go to Fiverr and say, hey, I know this one says it's labeled for reuse, but I'd like something similar to this. Can you, put something in a cartoon, something like that. You could always do something like that too. All right, so now we've covered some sources there. Let's talk about some general guidelines for images. So in any type of marketing, images that create an emotion help. So for an example, like a happy person on a beach, smiling happy person with white teeth on a beach for a dentist. You know, that I don't know why they need to be on a beach, but it draws out an emotion for people. And so because it draws out that emotion, that helps it sell. It's just one of those marketing things that they've done this over and over again, and people are drawn more to things that create an emotion inside them. So, you know, a dog playing with the toy that you're selling is a good idea. So if you're selling a dog toy, you know, you get a cute dog and you put them on there, you know, it's going to help it sell the dog toy. So like our dog bowls on Trex, right? So if you're going to do dog bowls, you might want, yep, cute dogs work. That they do. So then, but consider your target audience. You know, if you're not sure of who your target audience is, you need to do some research. But this would just be a guide because you'll want to test. And a good example of this, of why you want it to be a guide, is like I went through Facebook and Google. I did my research on my bakers and cake makers site. And then I went in there and I was like, okay, fine. They're telling me that the age is between 25 and 45. So I'm going to narrow my ad down to 25 to 45. And it did, oh, this was, by the way, pre-pixel change in May. And it did okay, but I took off the age restriction just to kind of do a test. And all of a sudden I was like selling double. And then when I went and fine-tuned it, they said, yeah, the people that are the cheapest reach and the best target for me to be able to sell to was 65 and over. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, pretty much I was told never to sell over 65 because nobody on Facebook, I mean, my mother-in-law is over 65, and while she looks at the ads, she never clicks and buys, or if she does click, she never buys. So I'm like, that's pretty much, it's just, but it depends on your particular niche. It just happened to be that I had people over 65 that were clicking and buying. So, you know, until you do your own testing, you're not going to know, but you could at least get an idea. Because think about this, you know, we're talking about, you know, cute puppies. If you end up targeting somebody who hates dogs, like for whatever reason, and you're like, I want to put a cute puppy in here, but your product has nothing to do with puppies, people do that all the time. They put babies and puppies into pictures that make no sense, and it sells. But let's say that you do that and you end up targeting the wrong audience, or the person who is likely to purchase that doesn't like dogs. I don't know how you get that. I don't know how people don't like dogs, but let's just pretend that exists. Then you would all of a sudden create a marketing piece that is not considering I know, right? That that you're making your marketing piece that doesn't consider your audience, and that's a nightmare when it comes to actually converting, because people aren't necessarily going to click. Some people click anyway. There's a lot of clickers out there, but for the most part, your target audience is going to be more likely to click if you have a marketing piece that touches them, you know, that they react to. So that is kind of your base for how you think of drawing people in, because there's a whole bunch of rules on advertising, which we'll talk more about if we get to that point, but we're doing search engine optimization, so this is more for conversion on the page. So, you know, consider your target audience. You don't want to, you can literally create a picture just to put a picture on your page if you wanted to. I mean, there's no rules against that. But again, our on-site optimization is also for conversions. So that's something we want to keep in mind. Images should be simplistic and not too busy. So I say this loosely because, again, it depends. If people think space is too busy, but there's an elegance about it that you can still put that as a background to something. Whereas there's, you know, if you put a bunch of abstract art on there, unless you're selling the abstract art, you don't want that to be a background because that could be too busy. And people, like, if they want to look at your page and vomit, then you're probably not going to convert very well. So again, we already said this, puppies, but babies and puppies are always useful when you can fit them in. And then use your images to help your call to action. So like the buy now button or the sign up here or whatever. And this is an example. And it was so funny when they did this test. It was hilarious. I can't remember who did this test, but so they have like a person in the image, and they have the person looking at the call to action. And when they did tests, and this is more than Hotjar can do, but they did these tests where people were like they would see where they were looking, and as soon as they saw the person looking somewhere, they looked to see where they were looking. And so it's the same thing you do in a mall. You know, my sister and I tested this when we were in high school once. There was this joke that, you know, if there's a group of people looking at something, people will stop and look at it. So we had 3 of us sit at a bench and look up, and every person that walked by stopped and looked up to see what we were looking at. We weren't looking at anything. We were just looking up to see if other people would do it. Sure enough, people did it. So there's just something psychological about that, and it's the same thing with images. So if you have like an image of, try to get that emotion in there. So somebody playing on the beach or whatever, and they're like throwing a frisbee, have them throw the frisbee, place it so that it's towards the buy button or whatever. That could help them do that. Now, of course, there's like a whole different science to that, and you have to test around and play with that. But that's just a general guidance. If you can't fit it in, it's not the end of the world. It's just something that if you can, it's fun to do, and stick it in there. It might help people draw them to the action you want them to do. So for e-commerce, you need 5 to 7 good images. If you only have one, stuff still sells. I'm a perfect example of that. I sell on Amazon. I used to have like 2,000 items on there, but we narrowed it down because that was retarded. I might get back to 2,000 items, but now at least I know what I'm doing and I can do it better. But we had like 2,000 items on there, and like every single image just had one picture, just had a picture of, a scanned image of it, because I was too lazy to remove the background of all of them. And we still sold stuff left and right because the picture was enough for them. So we probably would have converted better if we would have been able to put more images like the product in use, etc. But that was going to take us too much time. So if it takes you too much time to do that, at least get the one image on there. Content sites. Now, this is a little different with content sites because you do need a minimum of one image, but you need to add more to help with, I say conversions, but it's to help with people staying on your site. And so, every 300 to 500 words, you need to have at least one. And you can have more, and especially if it helps with the storyline. There's a lot of people who will put pictures in that have no relationship to the content whatsoever. So ideally, you can put the picture in there that makes no sense, but you want to put, ideally you put one that does make sense. But even if you have to add more pictures that don't make sense, put a question mark in there if you have to, and an exclamation mark, a smiley face, something to at least get on content sites. On e-commerce, don't do that because you'll just confuse people. But on content sites, you do need those additional pictures because it helps break up that content so that that visual flow. You need that white space in that. I don't know. We like the elementary school books where we have pictures and words. So, and I know the T-Rex people have probably heard about Hotjar. It is a free resource, and it will record up to a certain amount for free, and you can go in and see what people are doing. Because if you do put a picture on your site and it's too distracting, it can detract from conversions. So, no naked people, because then you'll have people going there just looking at your pictures and not converting. And you might get in trouble from Facebook if you're running ads. So, I'm joking about the naked person, but no, seriously, there are different ads. Like if you have a picture that is too distracting, then yeah, definitely Hotjar all the time. But this is a really good reason for Hotjar, is to see what is distracting them. So there was an example of this that one of my mentors, one of my teacher people way back in the day, he said, look, here's an example of this. If you put a picture on there and it's too distracting for them, and it was a logo is what they had as an example. Their logo was so distracting that people were never making it to the buy button or the sign up button. And so they changed the logo. They just altered it slightly, and then people started converting better because they got past it. So it's just one of those, if you put it in Hotjar, you can at least go in there, and review it and see what's happening. If people aren't getting past a certain spot, and you'll see that when we always talk about above the fold, so the half the page that you can see, or third of the page, whatever it is, the part you'll see that there'll be people that go there, and if something doesn't catch their attention, or they don't have that command, that call to action straight on that page, they'll just leave. And you'll see that happen all the time. And so there's some legitimacy to making sure that your buy button or your sign up now or whatever is above the fold, and that you have specific elements above there, like your main pictures, and of course your call to action. So any contact information or a way to contact is a good one too, depending on what you're doing. So Canva.com, so you can create an image. Of course, we talked about Adobe, but we're going to focus on the free tools for right now. Canva.com has a free and a paid version, and you can easily use the free version and their free elements to meet most, if not all, of your needs. So if you're doing product pictures, they say to use a white background. They say that's actually, that's why Amazon basically trademarked the whole they trademark the removed background, which if you take a removed background and you load it into something, it makes it a white background. Now, the difference between Amazon and the rest of the world is that we know that you need to break it up. So sometimes you might need to include a border. Now, we are very limited on Trex on what we can do for our main product image, but for our supplementary images in our content, we can do things like this where we put a border, just a thin border, just kind of break it up from the white, because we're putting a lot of white content on our page. So break it up. You still have the white background on there. You may need to test this because for some reason, some products will do better. Like again, probably goes back to your audience research. Some audiences will do better with a different color background. But again, that's something that if you're converting well, that's something you can test later on. So you just get to the point where you're converting and you get the sales, then you worry about different colors. So start with white background because that'll help emphasize your product or your image there. And that's of course for product pictures. If you're doing content, it's a little different. So keep your images on your page consistent with your message and marketing. So I missed a thing here. Good thing I'm not in full screen. If you use a specific color, not use it. Oh, see there. So like for me, theoretically, if I were doing this consistently, like I just liked the pretty color of this one. So my PowerPoint should be consistent with my logo. My logo, which is currently it's a timepiece. I'm not really branded right now, so I'm not really worried about it. But theoretically, I should have a similar theme throughout that and similar colors throughout it. So I should probably do like a beige with a brown or gold on here instead, not gold for writing though, because that's hard to read. So do something like that. That's going to be a little bit more themed throughout. So if you have your marketing and you have your landing page, they're consistent with the colors. So if you have logo colors or you have website colors, you want to make sure that ends up in your marketing. So that way there's that consistency. There's that flow through it. So let's see. When you're advertising, I just said that when you're advertising, you keep everything consistent. So let's create something in Canva real quick. Now, I know they've done some training on Trex, but since this is also for people who are not and who are people watching it later, we're going to go to canva.com and, I just log in with my Facebook page. Why does it say that every time? It's not registered because I didn't tell it anything. So, and this is where I was saying, like, here's a white background one. And what I would actually want to do with this is put a border on it, especially if I'm running it in an ad. If I'm running it in an ad, it definitely needs a border. Oh, it saved that part. I didn't want it to save that. I want it to actually delete this whole part. Okay, well, we're not going to mess with this. We're going to actually do a new one. So let's close that. And you can see here where they've got some preset ones, but you can also, do your own dimension. You can use custom dimensions or you can find different ones. I'm going to do a 1200 by 1200 real quick. And we're just going to make something fun real quick. And I said 1200 by 1200 because that's a good for a post size, but if you're not really going to be focusing on Facebook too much, don't worry about it. And we'll see here, they've got even different layouts you can use. So you could break it up a little bit different. We're just going to leave it the way it is. And then you can just scroll through and see they've got free photos. They've got all different kinds of things that you can use. You can add in text and you can add in a background, and there's free and then there's paid ones. Now I just stick with free because free is free. And I don't know, there's a lot of people that like something like this in the background, but it's tough because, and that's $1 one anyway, but this one's tough because it's really busy. So I wouldn't even though it's pretty, I wouldn't really do that unless you think about those commercials where they would do this and then they'd have, and it's not horrible. You could do this and put just a single product image on here. Like, what am I thinking of? Laundry detergent. This is like a perfect laundry detergent image, right? You put the laundry detergent right here. It smells the same as whatever the heck these are. Yeah, that would be good for that. But otherwise, it's too busy. And stick with something kind of like neutral, and you kind of have to play with it to see what you're doing. But again, if you're doing a product image, just leave it white. So we'll just do this. That's kind of busy too, but we'll see what else we can put on here. And they've got shapes that are free, and then you can play with stuff. In fact, you can do a search on here. Of course, I'm kind of a lavender. It could have been, I don't know. They were not bluebells. They were not purple enough for bluebells, ironically. Let's see. Let's just go with dog, see what comes up. Oh, look, see, now they've got some cute ones in here. Oh, look at that one. And then you can go in and you can put text. And then you can say, why is this not moving? There it goes. Yeah, did someone say, back to text for a second. And for the most part, when you do, even though you can do different sizing and bold and everything else, you want to keep your text the same type of text. So you can do different bolds. And this is the same thing with content, by the way, when you're doing your typing. A lot of people want to switch up the text, and I guess that's really distracting. I mean, it is for me. Sometimes you can do like a complementary text if you want to like accent it a little bit more, but I would do no more than 2 different types anyway, period, in any type of content. But in this case, I don't need to. I mean, you could do something fun like that and then just add it on. I mean, you could do whatever you want like this for your content pages, and especially your content pages. And you can even do that for supplementary pictures in products, where you could do like a whole storyline with it, right? So you can say, did somebody say bacon? And then you put, if you had like a bacon shirt or whatever, you could do that. Cassandra, I'm busy, baby.
Change it again.
I know they didn't have a kids one. I'm sorry. So I put the penguin on there. The penguin's good. That has your name on it. You know which one it is.
But
You're going to have to talk to me later.
oh,
I love you, baby. Okay. Sorry. She logged into Netflix and I changed the logo on it. I can't get it back to what she wants. Okay, so, did someone say bacon? And then you can just save it. And actually, I don't like that background as much. That's a better background. That's a nice clean background. It's got a little bit of texture to it, but not too much to be distracting. And so you can take that, you can stick it, you've made this now, so you can do whatever you want with it. And it's all free. So you can just say download. And then even though they say PNG is recommended, I would only do a PNG if you plan on altering it, because a PNG is like resizable and everything. But if you're going to just try to load it straight to Facebook, then I would do a JPEG, because they don't like PNGs on Facebook. In case you didn't know, if you've ever tried to load a PNG and you had an error, that would be why. I did that once for like an hour, and I was like, what is going on? And then finally it told me that it doesn't support that file extension. I'm like, well, what am I trying to load? And I'm like, oh, it's a PNG. That was an hour of my life wasted. So then you can just log into Facebook. We're going to just go to a page I'm not really using. What am I not using? Oh, I'm not using this one. And I can delete the post later. Are they like just random pictures on the page, or are they like you have them in your, oh, sorry, Linda's asked, I don't know if they can see the chat on replay. So Linda asked if it would help to have any of these kind of dog pics in the midst of dog shirts we are selling. So like, are you putting them on the shirts, or are you putting them, or is it just going to be random pictures in the content? And I could say it probably doesn't matter. You could probably do either way, but yeah. So what, it depends. If it's above the fold, no, you want to make sure you're completely focused on the product. If it's below the fold, you could get away with it. But yeah, and it just kind of, and this is where, yeah, so the fold is like when you go into a page, let's go to, I want to go to a product to show it to you. I don't know why they call it the fold. It's just funny and fun. I think it has something to do with when it was back on print stuff, like the newspaper above the fold. So same concept. So like anything, and of course this will look a little bit different, but they call this the fold. Is basically the bottom of the page is the fold. So anything above it, you want your call to action. So in this case, your add to cart. So you don't want to put too much content here, right? So let's say that we are going to try to do content and we're going to try to get up to 500, 600 words. We don't want that up here, because what we do want is we want, our keyword here, couple keyword here a couple times. But if you have too much here, it's going to push this down, right? So then you're going to go over here and you're going to make this content here, or we have other spots to go down here below the fold, but we want our important stuff above the fold. So if you want to add in other pictures, this is almost like adding in other pictures, right? Your testimonials, theoretically, they support what you're selling, but since they're not related, it doesn't really. So having other pictures in there can almost clutter it too much. But if it's similar, or like you have a product that says, like you can even put it in there and go have the picture and say, does your dog give you this look? You know, this shirt would be great for you then, or something like that, right? So you can make them funny, and if you put your personality into it, and you if your personality is not funny, I don't know how well it sells, but funny personalities tend to be able to sell more just simply by adding stuff in, which is kind of funny. And what am I? My phone just lit up and said something about Roe versus Wade. That's like the most controversial legislation ever, or well, law decision ever. So anyway, you've got your keyword, and then a couple of points here, and then you would put your content here and down here, and you can add in pictures. And I would add in pictures if you have, ideally it's of the product. But if you don't have product pictures to do that, yeah, definitely throw in another picture that is just cute. Because we're trying to get some keywords on here and get it noticed. And if it's down here, it's going to be less likely to be harmful to our page. And as long as you just keep it on topic, you don't want to be like, oh, make money online, here's a cute puppy, and you're selling a shirt. You know, you want to do something like, oh yeah, here's Fido, and he loves when his human mommy wears this shirt, or something like that, you know. So you could do silly stuff like that and put it on there. And I think that might even help with conversions until you get to the point where you're doing other product pictures. So yeah, I would do it. I would try to aim, like I said, if we're only aiming for 500 or 600 words on these, then I would probably, you could put 1 or 2 more pictures in there, but make them funny like that and cute, and slip in your keyword, of course. So let me see, we showed kind of how to do, and of course, if we're going to load that real quick, we're going to go downloads and see, we'd just be able to load that in this. And the nice thing about that 1200 by 1200 size, well, and Linda, and right now, I wouldn't aim for 500 words yet, because I don't know if Google can read it. So until we can figure out what's going on with schema, just put in your basic content stuff. So what's nice, just as a side note about a 1200 by 1200, is that when you do this and it's on, let's say you put it in, this only works if you put it in your feed, by the way. But if you're going to run an ad, and especially with t-shirts, by the way, so you put your t-shirt ad on here, right? You've got your ad going on, and then you boost it instead of putting it through the, I mean, you can still boost it from the ads manager, but it's on here, right? So it's a boosted post rather than a dark post. Then when somebody's scrolling, at least this was the way it was 2 months ago when I last tested it, this will take up their entire, like if they're scrolling on their phone, they'll take up the entire phone basically. So they're not going to see anything above or below. It's kind of cool because you basically take up more real estate with that. So I'll have to test it and see if it still works, because they talked about removing that. But I think I saw one just the other day. So that's just an interesting little way to get more of your image shown. So 1200 by 1200, and then always double check before you pay for an ad. Make sure it shows up right. All right, so let's do back to here. Okay, so Canva is really easy to use, and that's if you're going to load it into Facebook, you can do that. But let's actually go on to the base. So the basics of SEO for images, right? So you want to make sure you name the images on your page with the keyword. And so when we name an image, let's go back to wherever that was, right? I'm going to pull it over here. Sorry, I got 2 screens I work off of. So on here, and I have to play around because they keep changing this, you can go to file info, and it'll say here, so file name, right? Which of course you can just rename, but they've got the date, they've got the size, the dimensions, they got different information. This is all basic information that you can do. So really the only thing you can change right now through just standard is the name, and you can do that from, son of a, don't close it. So you can do that from here. So if I wanted to say, what do I want to say? I want to call it, I don't even know what kind of dog it is. I want to say dog shirt. That's not what I would want to go for. That's not my keyword. You want to make sure you use your keyword. But let's say we're using dog shirt as the keyword, then I would name that the keyword. And if I have more than one, I might want to do, and this is what I did for the security one, right? So, oh, it may not be on this page, this computer. I keep going, where's my D drive? That's my other computer. So documents, LPCC Holdings. Shoot. Yeah, I can't remember. I put the pictures. Yeah, I can't remember where I put the pictures, so we'll just have to play with it in WordPress. But so you can just go in and you can just rename it when open file location and just click rename. So right click on it and click rename it. So that'll rename it. And you want to do that before you load it, because if you do it after you load it, there's a trail. And in fact, I think it doesn't really rename it right when you do it, when you load it. So you just want to do it before you load it. And if you end up loading it and then having to rename it after the fact, then just delete it and do it again. That's for your pictures, by the way, not for Trek stuff. The Trek stuff, we're going to have to deal with Treks and figure out what to do on it, because those need to get renamed. I can't be having my tie be named shirt. That's just not acceptable. So when you do an image before you, and you can rename it, it's fine. But when you create an image or whatever, let's say you do it in Adobe, you're going to need to probably alter these at some point, and you want to keep the originals before. So when you alter them, keep another copy. And we're going to talk about this later on, because when we get onto our site, especially if we do content sites, which for the Trex people, I think we may end up having to do for search engine optimization, which is fine. You guys will love it. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty fun. So when you do a content site, you want to make sure that your site can load really fast. And Trex, we want our site to load really fast, but there's nothing we can do about that. So when I say there's things that we can't, when we do a large image on a site, we can actually host that somewhere else sometimes. So when we consider how we're doing these images, when we get to a point where we analyze it, and we'll talk more about this when we do our analysis, that we may have to go back and say, okay, we need to flatten these, or we need to do something to them. And so we want to make sure we keep the originals somewhere else in case we end up screwing them up later on. So we keep the original on our drive, and then we'll tweak the other ones. So just make sure you keep a place where you keep your images. If you don't have a Google Drive, get a Google Drive. It's free up to a certain size, and I think the free version is pretty big. So you can always just store them there, so it's not on your computer, because sometimes these are going to be pretty big images, right? So you can just keep them all there. You can coordinate it into folders and everything. You can share them as needed with people. So it's pretty good. Let's see. We're going to show how to do WordPress in just a second. So yeah, we'll cover that whole making them smaller later. And then when you place the image in WordPress, make sure you list the title of the image and the alt text. They'll show you how to do that. And then so here's a little piece of information. I mentioned this the other day, but search engines and Facebook, they're unable to actually read your image, right? So they don't know what your image is about. They don't know that there's grass on it. If there's grass on it, they don't even know there's a shirt on it unless you tell them that, right? So you can literally use any image you want as long as you title it that way. So you could have a on sale sign or on sale image on there that's there, and you say, or limited time even. So you don't have to have that written. You can have it as an image, but the image doesn't have to say limited time. It could say dog shirt, right? It could say dog shirt limited time or something like that, so that you still have the dog shirt in there, and then you know what it is. Whatever you title it, that's what they'll read. That's what the search engines and Facebook and everything will read. So make sure that you title it the way you want. And this goes the same as if you have an image from somewhere else. Just because they labeled it a stop sign doesn't mean you have to keep it labeled a stop sign. You can label it whatever you want, and that's what you want to do. So even if you're using an image that doesn't necessarily directly relate to your keyword, you need to change it to your keyword. And that's the whole, so many sites don't do this. Heck, freaking Walmart doesn't even do this with their stuff. They don't put their image titles like weird. Amazon, you can't do it for Amazon, by the way. They don't let you put your own names. They just put a code on there. And I'm like, that's stupid. Now, there are ways to tweak it, because you can, when you're loading it, you call it something and blah, 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 but that's a whole different world. So do not use the exact same image. So if you do get an image from Pixabay or something, kind of like what we did where we went into Canva and we put it on a background and then we added some words. You don't have to add words, but you may want to just put it into Canva and put it like a border on it and make it slightly different. And that's because there is a code in the background. So even though they have no idea what the image really means, if you use the exact same picture 3 times, Google knows that those are the exact same picture, even if you rename them. And that's because that back code from the image, because the image, what you see is all zeros and ones or whatever, however they say that. So that code is going to be exactly the same unless you tweak it. Even if you just go in and put a little dot on it, that tweaks it. So I think you need to do a little bit more than a dot, but if you do like put a border on it or skew, put it at a different angle or something. So use Canva to tweak it a little bit and make it yours. So even if you do go find a free image, now obviously if you take that and you put it on a product, that's tweaked. But the point is that you want to make sure that image is unique to you, and not if somebody does a search for it, that they don't turn around and find 50 other pages with it. So that'll help you it'll set you apart from everybody else as well. Okay, so let's go into, before we go into WordPress, let me show you Adobe Bridge real quick. So Adobe Bridge is, this is the same thing I was talking about. You can retitle it, you can do it manually. It was a program that was out there that was free that Google had that let you do a lot more than just retitle it, but it's no longer available, unfortunately, because Google's no longer in the image business, at least for right now, right? So when you later, and that's fine for right now, that's really all you need to do. However, and this is where I'm going to show you some metadata, and this is where you need to check some of this stuff. I wonder if we can get it. Sometimes they let you download old software. Maybe we can find it. But it's called, I think it's called Picasa. I think that's what it is. I think I have it. Picasa. I might have taken it off because I have Adobe Bridge, but no, I have it. Picasa. Yeah, so they stopped at whatever version. If you can find an old download of it or something, carefully download it onto a computer that you don't care if it gets a virus or you have virus protection on. Because if somebody has an old download, you have no idea what that's attached to. So, but Picasa is the one that you used to be able to do some really good stuff in it. In fact, let me see if I can pull that up and show you this version. What the what? Oh, that's old. That's from when I wrote my book in 2013 or something. And then it was about selling on OfferUp, which is an interesting way to sell stuff. Everybody's dying right now from selling on Craigslist and 5 miles on OfferUp. I'm not really into doing that anymore. Well, we'll just go into, oh yeah, my old pictures of Cassandra. So here's a picture of Cassandra, right? Wait, can you do it from the screen? I haven't used Picasa in so long. I'm sorry. If you right click and you say properties, you're not helping me here. See, it's scanning everything. I shouldn't have opened this. We'll just do it in Adobe. Okay, so Adobe Bridge. Should have had this open too. This is what happens when you rush in. Where'd it go? I think it's thinking. There it goes. So Adobe Bridge is really nice because it lets you do a lot of stuff. So actually, here's one where I did this with. So you bring in a picture and it gives you a ton of metadata in here. So you got your metadata and you got your keywords. So you can go through, and there's a lot of different places here, but you got your file name. And of course, this one tells you the document type. This one happens to be a PNG, but that's not the end of the world. You could always pull it into another program and save it. And then you can go into keywords, and you can, there's keywords that are assigned to this. Actually, let me see if I can get you guys to see that a little bit better. No. I'm already to the cheating part. It's hard to go backwards. You know, when they talk about, oh, the gurus, they never teach you the step-by-step. It's because it's hard to go back. It's like, I've already figured that out. I'm past that. I'm to the cheating part already. Close. I don't want you. I don't want you here. So anyway, so you can go in here. Why are you messing around with me? You know that Microsoft just did an update last night. So of course, everything's going to be tweaked for a little bit while. Well, you can go in and you can see there's this create metadata template, and this is exactly what I did, right? So I had a template and I put the creator as my company name. So this is where you could put the creator as your keyword, right? So if I wanted to do dog shirts, I would put dog shirts. And then I fill in some of this because I don't know why. And then the website, you know, I would put whatever my website is, but I would make sure, so let's say it's alltimefinds.com/dog shirts. So again, my keywords in there, right? And so you can go through here are keywords right here. So I could do dog shirts, dog t-shirts. And so I would put in like 4 or 5 of these. And this is a template. So I can literally save this as the template and then apply it to multiple ones at the same time, right? So this is all going to be that metadata background information. Now this, I'm going to tell you now, this is not nearly as critical as the title. This is just a way you can sneak them in there a little bit more. And this is not something you need to do immediately. In fact, you may never have to do this. You might be able to rank without it. And their search engines have gone back and forth on whether they're going to actually use metadata or not. So this is one way to get that information in there, especially for sites like ours that we can't seem to get it reads weird. So this is just one little way to sneak stuff in there, and you can go through and there's a bunch of places where you can put information, and this is really good for local. So if you ever get into local stuff, you can put in like, you know, the state and the city and the address, and that's where it's really useful because now Google knows that that's local, and or at least they think it's local, and then you can rank better for local stuff. So that's where this really comes in handy. But this is also where you can sneak in some other keywords and do stuff. But if you don't have Adobe, which most people don't tend to get the suite like I do, you don't need to. That's just, you can go in and say this and say apply your metadata. So, and then you can go in and tweak each one individually if you wanted to, and it's really neat. But like I said, theoretically, if Picasa wasn't going to be scanning every image that they've never looked at before, we'd play with that. There's a way to do it in there. But for now, just focus on the title. That's the most important thing. I just wanted to show you guys that little tweak one. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to do on. For some reason, every time they do Microsoft like 10 version 10 or whatever I have on here, 10 I think it is. So Windows 10, it doesn't let you see as much data as it used to. So it may be that you need to go into their program, because you used to be able to just like right click on an image and go into the properties, and then, oh, there it is. So you just can't go in through the folder. And then you can go in and you can put in, yeah, here we go, details. So you can go in here, put your title in, you can put, and so even though, yeah, so that's the secret. Just don't do it from a freaking folder. So you just find it, you get into this property section, and then you can put in, you can change the author. So authors, like I would put in, oh man, it's not letting me. They're locking it out. So you have to, yeah, so they're just taking exactly the information that's on there. So they're not even letting me, like they're not letting me do anything here. So the only thing you can change, can I title it? Nope, I can't do anything. Maybe I need to change it. No, everything's allowed. Yeah, they keep changing this every time you go into it. And that's why I love Adobe Bridge, because you get to manipulate it. But like I said, it's not critical. Just make sure you do the titles for now. And then if you're ever like, man, I'm on page 2 and I can't get to page 1, then maybe you look at the trial. You know, I mean, that's my number one thing. I'm like, look, if you can, try the Adobe trial. If you're get to that point where you have enough images, because that's the whole thing, is it's time consuming, right? So if you can't get into the metadata, you can't change it, and you want to do it, then boom, go to the trial. Yeah, that's probably why you can't find it, Joanne, because every single time they do an update, they restrict more and more what people can do, try to control us. I don't like being controlled. I don't like being manipulated either. Facebook. That's why I don't do Facebook Live, right? Okay, so let's go and let's actually look at this on WordPress now. So we're going to go into what we were doing before. Oh, I want to show you guys something cool with this too. I probably should have started this on a page that doesn't rank for anything, but I didn't really think it mattered. So we're going to go to pages. That's right. And we have it under the front page. Now, again, like I said, this one is my front page, so it doesn't have the additional part of the URL, but you would want to put it, most of our products are going to be on that. It's not going to be on the front page anyway. But here's like the first image I have in here. So let's say, in fact, let's install an image. Let's put an image in here. So let's say I'm going to, why did you go there? So having all these apps is great, but sometimes you can't type it straight in here. It gets all messed up. If that's the case, you're going to type it into Word, copy and paste it in, and then do your tweaking for your making it prettier. So if we're going to add an image, we're going to go into Add Media. And let's say that we're going to take, actually, let's upload that dog image, right? There it is. Okay, so again, this one says dog shirt on it. And if you try to change it, so let's say that I change it here, and this is what I was talking about, it leaves like a lag behind. So let's say that, oh, wait, I want to make it a cow shirt instead, which would be stupid because there's a dog there. It's not going to change this name here. So as long as you rename it, oh, it did give it to you, so you just have to play with it. Okay. So it doesn't rename this. So right here is important that you rename it before you load it. Okay, because then it'll be as part of the image. And here's what I mean is, like, if you go in and you open the image in WordPress, it would say, resecuritySolutions.com, wp/admin, media/dog shirt. And so the only reason why, only on JPEG files, yeah, that makes sense. So the only reason why you would want to delete it and reload it with the right title if you wanted that to be there. So that's your keywords right there. So that's one part. Then you have your keyword here. So you have your dog shirt here. And then you want to copy whatever your keyword is here and put it as the alt text. And the reason why is because, again, they can't read the image, so they don't really know what it is. So you put it in the alt text. Some people say to put it in the description, but I'm with Jeff Lenny on this one and say that I don't think they care. Because you can manipulate the description with like a bunch of keywords. I don't think it's reading the description. In fact, when we look at that, when we're looking at the metadata that it's looking at, it's not pulling description. It's pulling title. And then when it's pulling the description, it's pulling it from the alt text. So you want to make sure you copy it from title and you also put it in the alt text. And then you can insert into the image however you want. So we put that in there. Now we've got our dog shirt in here, and we've got that. And so, of course, if we have 3 images in here, each with the, dog shirts love bacon, dog shirts love whatever, that would be 3 different times that keyword's in there. So that's really the basics of that. I know it seems like it should be so much simpler than this to get that in there, but those are the elements. Make sure you've got the title in there. Make sure you've put it in the, that title in the alt text, and then you can go from there. So that's what I did here too, right? So check out these pictures on here. This is the Arlington, Texas one. So you see all these pictures that are on this, right? So we've got this picture. This is actually a video I stuck in there last week. This picture, this picture, this picture, and this picture. Now watch what happens. I was looking at this earlier, cracking up. When I type in my keyword, yes, I know there's no search volume, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, woohoo, I'm in here, which cracks me up. As a side note, my husband got a phone call and they're like, we can rank you on page 1. And my husband's like, well, I don't know. I mean, he knows because I tell him this stuff, right? And he goes, well, we're a local company. I'm not really worried about ranking page 1. Oh, but you need to be in the maps. And I said, I hope you told him, how much was they going to charge you? He goes, well, I didn't get that far, because he was on the phone with them for like half an hour and they still hadn't set a price. And he said, but they said I had to commit for like 7 months with them. And I said, but we're already on page 1 for like a bunch of keywords in maps. And he's like, I know, but I just wanted to know. So I thought it was funny because we already are there and they were trying to sell it to us. So anyway, so this is like the normal searches, right? So you can go through here, and I'm not here yet. It hasn't moved at all. In fact, I'm right there. So I'm still hovering between 11 and 16. That's about where I've been for a while. That's okay, because we've still got some stuff to do. Oh, I know, but those salespeople don't care. But now if you go here and you go to images, look at that one. There's one. That's me. That's me. That's me. And I'm like, holy cow, boom, 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 boom. I mean, that's pretty good, right? So, and then if you go through, there's like Yelp. I don't know why that comes up, but whatever. So a lot of these are just Yelp. Not that anybody searches by images, but I thought that was pretty cool. So of course this is actually my logo on a different site. We did not pay them to get on there. Yes, it will go to my site, assuming that it's linked to it. So like this one, it says resecurity-solutions.com below it. That one would go to my site. This one would go to my site. But this one, even though that's my logo, this is on somebody else's site. And this was actually one that we didn't know about. But they somehow, if you go to their site, they actually ranked us. They said best security systems in Arlington, Texas, and they ranked us as one of them. So I've never even heard of them before. They've never contacted us, nothing. It's completely neutral. I thought that was interesting. So I was kind of neat to see that there. But yeah, that's actually a stock image. That's funny, from Yelp. So we're in here. That's our logo right there. And then I saw us down here again somewhere. This one's us. And this one cracks me up too, the whole $15.95. They used to not be $15.95. Now we are, oh, here we are right here. This one's us. So we are in here a bunch of times. So imagine if somebody typed in, I mean, because think about this. This is basically like Google's version of Pinterest, right? So if somebody, and there's people that do this, they'll just go onto the images and they'll look through the images. I do it all the time when I'm looking for stuff. I'm like, man, I don't want to search through text. Like, I don't want to look through it. Because if you go to this one, there are no images here, right? So you've got, every now and again, they might throw one up. Or if they had it featured, they might have a feature over here with some images. But for the most part, you're getting all just a block of text. And we already know people don't like to read that. So if they go and they click on the images and you have dog shirt and you come up dog shirt, dog shirt, dog shirt, dog shirt, people are going to be clicking on your page. So that's why it is good to have the images there. So quick, I know we're running out of time, but now let's say that I've got this image on my site and I actually have to be viewing it. So you can't be on the back end to do this. And what I did is I installed this Pinterest one because it doesn't work on all sites. So you might need to install as a Google extension. So I don't have to worry about it being on my site. But now on any site that I'm on, whether it's mine or somebody else's, I can scroll over and I can now pin it. And when I pin it, I'm going to, I'm just going to create a board. Awesome. Oops. Actually, what I would want to do is I would want to create a board that had my name in it, right? So if it was dog shirts, I would hit dog shirts, but I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to do Arlington, Texas security systems. And then, no, it's not a secret. I'm going to create the board. And then I'm going to see, I want to see the pin now. So I'm going to say, see it now. And go, again, this is a little bit off-site stuff. Man, they keep changing this. So you can edit the pin. And now you can say that it's on the board. And if you had a section, now the description, because it pulled in the description pretty good, is fine. But, you know, Arlington, Texas security systems alarm monitoring. So what I might want to do, since that's what that actual description is, sometimes it won't pull it in this way. In fact, for a long time, it wouldn't even give you the right website or the description. So this is nice. If it, you just double check that and then make sure your keywords are in there, because this is way nicer than what it used to do. It used to come in with a horrible description and then a website that didn't even make any sense. Like, it would have your website in there with like a coded link. So just double check your pin and make sure that's in there. And now you just have a backlink. You have a backlink from Pinterest with this. So you can do some stuff. You can even embed it now. Wow, I gotta play with Pinterest more. This is all new. This whole layout is new. I didn't take Pinterest seriously until about a month ago, by the way. Just saying. I know they've been there. I knew the pins were important, but man, there's so much freaking junk on it that I just did not like it. I mean, I'm actually surprised that I'm not seeing like promoted porn on here, because normally that's all I ever see. So I didn't take them very seriously. But it looks like they're cleaning that up. They want to be in the big game. So that's how you can get your site on there. And it looks like you don't have to do as much of the fine tuning as you did. But let's say if you did have alternate ones, you could go in there and you could edit it, and you could do, you know, like say Arlington security systems, and then put a comment in there, alarm monitoring for safety conscious individuals and families in Arlington, Texas. So you could put a little blurb in there and save it. How is that even possible? Do you see it on YouTube? Because I see it on YouTube all the time too. I must have my settings wrong. Sandra said that she's never seen porn on Pinterest, and I think she's just likes to like pretend she's never seen it. Yeah. So Linda, you've seen porn on YouTube, right? So it's not just me, but maybe that's. Do you do a lot on Pinterest? Because what am I looking at on the internet? No, I'm not looking at that. Must be me, huh? I think and this is what how do I say this nicely? So when I originally learned Pinterest for backlinking, there's a way you can manipulate your pins. Now, this is, of course, against Pinterest rules, but it is a way that you could literally hop up the board a lot faster. Now, the catch with that is that these sites that are doing that, they're usually promoting inappropriate pins. So I think what happens is that when your picture, so remember, you're promoting your picture and somebody else is also promoting their picture and it's inappropriate. Now somebody else is coming through, and what they do is they go like a bunch of stuff so that they build up points so they can promote theirs. So now 15 people have liked this and they liked this porn picture. Now anybody who sees this image is now more like this. Now all of a sudden the porn starts getting shown underneath it. So we didn't know that when we first got started doing this. We were just following the rules of our instructor person, and we started doing it. And then I started seeing all this stuff and I went, yeah, I'm not using this service anymore. And I don't think this guy is very right in telling me to do that. And that's because that's a bad effect. I mean, people aren't going to want to pin your stuff if as soon as they pin it, they're offered 5 different products and how to enlarge something inappropriate. So I'm like, I didn't do that anymore. And I actually would say if you ever see that, do not do it. Because it's one thing to get into a pin share where the people, like if we all get in our group, if we all say, hey, come pin all my pages, and here's the keyword I'm going for, here's that, if we were to get into something coordinated like that where we all know each other and we're all sharing that information, that's one thing, and we could probably do that and see if that helps. But it's quite another to get into where you're paying for pins or you're doing something like that. So if you go to Fiverr and you pay for pins, that's probably what's going to happen. So I think that's what happened is, Sandra, you're just freaking awesome. No, how do you? Okay, now I don't know how I got porn on YouTube because it doesn't matter what I do, I see it. So yeah, I like the group thing, the group idea in our group because we're all supporting each other in that. So I have no problem doing that. And when we get to that point, when we get more coordinated, we might have to put up a somehow access like a group chart or something that we can access, and I'll go in and check, once a month or something and do some pins. My sister and I used to do that. I used to pin all her stuff and she'd pin all my stuff, but it got really time consuming. So we stopped. But it was only because she literally has like 2,000 bolts of fabric and then she sells it and I have to do it all over again. So yeah, and Pinterest itself has some really good potential. The one thing that I like is that depending on your target market, so Pinterest is, I don't know that they necessarily have an age range, but it tends to be, where Instagram is under the age of 35. I think you're going to see more of over the age of 35 that are going to be on Pinterest. But I say that loosely because I think that, she buys the fabric. She's crazy insane. I love her. And she's a hoarder, and no, she's not a hoarder, but she actually buys it and resells it because it's like limited products. So she'll go buy the fabric and then she'll use some of it for a project or something, and then she'll just resell everything else. So she'll go buy, a bolt of fabric and then use a yard of it, and that's it. Yeah, I told her that if anybody came in and didn't know what she was doing, that they would think that she's a hoarder. And I said, she's just an overgrown business in her house right now. So I'm like, well, yeah, we'll call it what we want to, but borderline hoarder. But that's what most people who have fabric, that's that whole market. In fact, it's really funny when you start looking at those memes. They're hilarious. Those would be funny to do on print on demand. Oh, the hoarder. I started a horror. Oh, my sister, the quilter, is listening now. She's like, it's not called hoarding. It's called extra fabric in case you need it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You need to look up the memes. Look up quilter meme. You will just get a huge, huge a stash. Okay, but you know, a stash can be taken the wrong way as well. Uh, that's you gotta look up quilter memes. I kid you not, they're hilarious. So I could spend an hour just looking through and just laughing hysterically at all those. So yes, Pinterest is great because like if just having the pin. Now here's the problem with a WordPress site and Pinterest is that Pinterest lets you have something called a buyable pin. So if I go in and see if I can even find my pins. I don't even know how people find my stuff on here, but somebody does. And they're going to find, dang it, how do I not find my own pin? Dragon mold. So theoretically, once somebody finds your pin, there are ones that are sometimes that are buyable pins. Not all of them are. They only integrate the buyable pin with Shopify and I think BigCommerce. So, which means you're paying for it. You're paying like a ton of money. But like theoretically, there are ones that you could, oh, here we go, right there. See, so it says $14.95. That's us. So you click on here and you can actually, go here, add to bag. I don't know what that means, but so this is a buyable pin. And people have bought stuff from Pinterest. No, buyable, B-U-Y. So buyable. I'm sure they call it something else, but that's what I call it, a buyable pin. Click on it. Shopping pin. It's probably called shopping pin. So, but it only integrates, like I said, with Shopify or BigCommerce. So until they expand that out, which I'm sure they will, they'll expand it out eventually until they expand that out. But here, like I said, here's the thing. So now somebody comes onto Pinterest and they're looking through your board and you don't have a pin that you can buy from. Let's see, the Etsy, this one's on Etsy, right? So it's not you can't purchase it from here, but oh, it's saved from Etsy.com. I can visit it. And so now they'll visit your site and they'll buy something. Well, not this because it's sold out. So that's kind of a neat way to have it. That's basically free traffic when you're not, but they do have ads, but you can get free traffic from it. So let me go back to mine and see how many people have pinned this. 1, and I'm up there pretty high. So, and there's of course ways that you can build traffic back to these and everything else, but our whole point is going to be going back to our site. So, oh, I know. Free traffic is always good. So this is one way you can get free traffic is make sure you pin every single image on your page. And of course, the better the image, the better the chance that somebody's going to click through. And of course, if you have, a product that you're selling or some sort of action that you want people to take, then that's where you want your image to represent the page. But we can always shift to that. So for now, just make sure you pin it so that the pins are there. And, the great thing about this is that if somebody tries to tell you to manipulate the pins, it doesn't matter. The pin on here, which you control, so this being pinned it counts as one link back, no matter how many people boost, if like 50 people like that or repin that, it's still one link back. So that pin that you did is all you need to do to get that credit essentially for what they call for a backlink. And again, for search engine optimization, Google is looking for specific links back. If you've got one from Pinterest, you've got one from Facebook, you've got one from YouTube, you've got all of these, then that's going to help you build that credibility. And of course, if you're focusing on that keyword for that one page, now it helps Google know what it's about. So even if we can't get our site to have schema on it, we can't get it to look right, we can use backlinks to tell Facebook what that page is about. So making sure that pins correctly in Pinterest is a critical one, because Google's going to read that pin as, oh, look, when it reads this pin, it read it as, exactly what I wanted it to. So as long as that keyword's in there and then the link is there. No, not really. I think you just have to do it once and it counts, but I'd say once per page. But the reason why I say go ahead and pin them all is one, it's super easy. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have a few pictures on here, right? So even if you have 7 or 8 pictures on there, if you pin, and actually I think you can even pin, I guess you can't pin this one. You have to pin it from YouTube. But even if you if you have each one pinned in there, then people can still find it and click through, especially if you have product images. So pin each one so people can find you in Pinterest, but just that backlink is just going to be that one pin. Now I say that, but just because if you have 7 going back to you and they all are saying the same keyword, that probably does help Google clarify the keyword. They just don't necessarily count it as more backlinks. But for a lot of these keywords, we're not going to be competing on backlinks. We're competing on quality of backlinks. So Pinterest is a high quality backlink. Facebook is a high quality backlink. Going from a porn site, not a high quality backlink. And you think I'm kidding when I say that, but if you go to Fiverr and you go purchase backlinks for 5,000 backlinks, that's where they're going, is on porn sites, and they're basically a waste of money. In fact, they can lower the quality, they can lower your search engine optimization because the quality of the links is so bad. So I'm going to teach you tons more backlinks, but this is just for the images. So you do Pinterest and you can pin that back. There used to be a way where you could submit the actual image to Google. It was so funny too, because I used to rank when you would put in Dallas Security Systems. This company right here, which is called Dallas Security Systems, the picture that used to be here was ours that came up, and it cracked me up. Every time I saw it, it cracked me up. But it only came up until they shut down. Once they shut down the Google Images, my picture went away. So I'm sure it's probably still here in images somewhere. But in fact, here, look, RE Security Solutions, we come up right there. So, and I'm sure there's more. That's the one. That's the image that used to come up right here. Freaking Linda, I need one here. It was 11 degrees last night. And for replay, Linda said that her sister makes and sells a snow skirt pattern. And she said it's insulated. And I said I could buy one and meet my family back east. We're going to go soon, hopefully. We keep trying to make a trip. But the thing is that, like, my family, we're all like, I say younger, we are younger. So my sister is my twin sister. We're the oldest two, and then I have my younger brother. So my sister and I, being twins, we're really close. I guess we're closer than the average siblings. And because of that, we try to make sure we see everything every single year. We try to make sure at least once a year, twice a year, hopefully. Whereas his family, we've seen them once since we've been married. And I do a big thing for his parents' anniversary, like 50th anniversary or something like that. And that's the only time I got to see them all. And then, of course, our wedding. When we got married, we saw his sisters. He's got 2 sisters, and we saw them then. But other than that, I've never met any of his other family. So one of these days, we got to get over there. Whereas he's met tons of my family. He's met my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. And let's see, who else has he met over there? No, my grandparents, of course, but his grandparents, that wasn't fair because they were dead before I met him. So, I'm not sure where they are. They're all over the place over in the east. I want to say, where did she tell me? I want kind of the Boston area, maybe. Oh, you guys are no. Okay, so wherever Larry's aunt is where you guys are, where everything's shut down, Sandra. So that's where my mother-in-law's sister is, because they can't get through to anything. Are you guys both over there? You guys are funny. For the replay, they're having a conversation in the public chat. So it's funny. They're talking about they're both on the East Coast. Yeah, where everything is shut down. So now we're gonna have to, we're gonna do a map or something and see where everybody's at. I don't think anybody in our group is down here where I am. Not that it matters, it's too cold. I just barely left the house for the first time in 2 weeks. Okay, so next week, all right, so we did this, we talked about Adobe Bridge. I didn't get my last slide up, but yeah, Sandra, thanks for coming. We're actually done anyway, so I was just going to say next week we are going to work on video stuff. So on Monday, we'll apply these pictures as best we can to Trex. I'm still working on some more stuff. Hopefully I have a schema update for everybody. And then we're going to talk, oh my gosh, wait, Sandra, before you go, I think I can rank us on YouTube. I think I found a software program, and I am doing my best to make sure that I'm going to have it available for next week. But I'm testing it right now. I'm testing. And if I can do this, the way it works is that you literally rank in minutes on YouTube. Minutes. So yes, that is next week's secret, Linda. That is going to be next week. So Monday, we're going to talk about the pictures still for Trex. But on Wednesday, we will talk video. And if I can get this to work, I am definitely, and guess what? The resource, I'm like, oh, everybody goes, oh man, you got to buy a resource. It's super cheap. It's so cheap. Now, there's some catches with it because it's so cheap. Like, it's based on your computer and it goes slow, but it is so cheap. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the cheapest software I've ever seen. And it is so awesome. I love it. I'm been so addicted to it. I crashed my computer twice last night trying to work on it because I was overburdening it because I'm like that. I crash all software. If a software doesn't crash when I use it, there's something wrong with it. So that's how I test it. If I can crash it, it's good software. That's how I decide. But yeah. Yeah, I'll look at Clipman, but I have, like I said, I'm going to show you guys a completely free, like I told you, I'll show you guys how to do it on Facebook and get it for free. And then I'll show you guys if you want to make something from scratch. I think I have another pretty cheap video resource that's fast. But for the most part, you can literally just do this with, your cell phone and just talking on a webcam, whatever. I mean, you don't have to make a fancy video to do what I'm going to teach you guys to do. It's so easy. And then, of course, when you have with product images and everything else, we'll be able to do stuff super, super easy. So I'll look at Clipman, though, to see if I can show that off and everything. And then, yeah, Screencast-O-Matic. Yeah, I use for capturing screens, I use Movavi, and my laptop doesn't like it, but my desktop loves it. It's like pretty awesome. Yeah, I use Adobe Bridge for the images. So I kind of tried to show that, but it's not as easy to show because there's a lot of elements to go into and the screen's real small. So I wouldn't worry about Adobe Bridge right now. Oh, and didn't you say that you got into it? One of you guys said you got into it. So let's go in here and go into file info. Nope, got to do it from here. So you got to go to properties, right click and go to properties. And you said you're able to go into, see, I'm double click. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Yeah, you have to just click around. Yep, that was my husband. I had to take that to send into Amazon. So here you can do that. Instead of using Adobe Bridge, you can just go in here and do this. And I would jump up to Adobe Bridge later on unless you have Adobe Bridge. But yeah. Okay, have a good night, Sandra. Thanks for coming. Yeah, on JPEGs, yeah. Yeah, PNGs are kind of a pain anyway because they don't load to everything and yeah. I would work with the JPEG as much as you can. So you can go in here and do title. You can change your rating to 5 stars, which is good because you can manipulate that. You can add a tag. Tags would be like your keywords. So instead of having a keyword section, they have a tag section. So you can do that. And then you can even add, if you wanted to add some comments. So like if we were doing this and it was for security, I would put in my Arlington, Texas security systems. And then I would put my subject as maybe best Arlington, Texas security systems. Keeping my keyword in there still, 5 stars. And then I would make sure in my tags, I have Arlington, Texas security systems. And they have what I hit was the semicolon like they're showing, and you can keep adding in more. So you could do best Arlington, Texas security systems, and then you can keep going on with those for if you want to, and then you can even put in a comment, maybe put a quote or whatever. So that's this. Apparently, you just have to click a gajillion times until it lets you do it. That's the way you can do it manually without Adobe Bridge. And we'll do, if you guys, when we get to the point where we're actually ranking and we're seeing sales coming in from ranking and stuff, we'll go back and do Adobe Bridge and fine tune it. I just wanted to show you the metadata and the capabilities. But for now, focus on doing it this way. If you have like a gajillion pictures you need to do, then you might want to consider the Adobe Bridge trial and give it a try that way. And if anybody wants to do that, just reach out to me and I can do a quick little video and show you how to do it. So, okay, any questions before I shut it down? We've been here for about an hour and a half. I'm sure somebody's got to go to the bathroom by now. And I'm not going to say me, but it might be me. She's watching the iPad. She's done with me. But she needs to go home and say hi to Grandma because Judy's pretty upset. In fact, Cassandra's upset because Judy's upset. And it's just, Cassandra's been upset all week because Judy's been upset. And she's been like, Judy's been like all nervous because she talked to her sister on Monday and she was so sick. And she's like, you need to go to the doctor. And she's like, I don't need to go to the doctor. I just need to get some sleep. And she's been like, she self-diagnosed herself a couple of months ago or something. And it's been ongoing for a couple of months now. And on Monday, Judy was freaking out. And so, of course, since Monday, Cassandra's been freaking out and trying to make her happy. And she's just been like, and as soon as the phone call came in and Judy went, what? Cassandra, I guess, just started running around with her heart beating. So it's been kind of interesting. You guys are funny. Okay, well, hop in group and keep going. I'm going to shut it down if you guys don't have any other questions. Again, Monday we'll do some pictures and we'll try to fine tune our description and stuff for the Trek site. I'm going to try to build an actual funnel page as best I can. And then hopefully we'll have an update on schema. And then Wednesday we will do Ninja video stuff. So thanks for coming and I will see you guys on Monday. Okay, that'd be great, Joanne. That would be awesome. And if I get any updates on the schema stuff, I'll let you know. But they're going to have to log into my site, and of course, it's already Wednesday, so who knows? But so I'll keep everybody updated on that as well. Yeah, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me or put it in group or whatever. So, oh, and I do have I will have an update on the bot software by Friday, so I'll put a video in there. So, all right, everybody have a great night. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down.